Sometimes, death is all you can see. It's all around you. It consumes you.
No. Oh no, they're all dead! They're all dead, Sarge!
So you have to look it in the eye.
If something happens to me, promise me you'll look for Maria.
And bare your teeth. Anybody need some sniper practice? That's one. See? That's two. Sniper! That's three! Would you get the fuck out of my way, please? Jeez Louise, what the fuck? That's four!
Alright, look. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna need a full policy that then rolls over into a full life annuity.
There is no way I'm giving you a policy. Good day, Mr. Karma.
All right, fine. Fine! You know what? The Better Business Bureau is going to be hearing from me, pal. Because this is the worst I've ever been treated, all right, man? You're acting like I'm some kind of bullet magnet. Well, you know what? Screw you, pal! Because I'm not getting shot this often.
Janice?
Shit, quiet. Don't move. There's a berserker. She can hear us. She can smell us. Control, this is Delta. We have a berserker in the vicinity. Please advise.
I want 100%, but I demand 100%, but you're holding back.
Affirmative, Control.
Yeah, get your downs up. You're talking about the Lancer? Get your downs up, you Lancer, in fact.
I haven't played Gears in about 5 months, and first game I played while I got on, this kid's talking trash. Pretty funny.
I try to get in the match with gamer tags like Bandito Chicano, Chico 514, you know, what else? Mexicano Leda Portas 325. I don't want to see that in matchmaking. I'd rather face a full team with a bunch of modded hamburgers because these Mexicans need to starve. I got 3 unnecessary deaths from these fighters. You need to stop.
Here, and you can by yourself. Where, man? If you're not here, if you're not here, you
Running circles, it's a very
How long I've worked on this fucking house alone? What it's like being a fucking hermit, fixing a house. There's no Home Depot out here, you fucking assholes. They fucked my tomatoes up, god damn it! No! I told you, they're breaking people! I can hear them screaming from the docks!
I can't believe they did that to Ty. He survives everything, doesn't he?
Let's just get the hell out of here.
glad to be on this team.
I was looking for this.
How's it going, everybody?
Just wanted to make a quick video about Gears of War. This is kind of like a retrospective type of video. Where I just talk about essentially, how I got into it, how I got out, and what it's like looking back. Sorry for the long intro. This video was originally intended to be just that. The intro was supposed to be its own video, and it was going to be a little bit longer. But I decided today, while editing it, that maybe it wouldn't be so bad to kind of just turn this into a commentary, because I do kind of show all the different Gears games, and I try to make it funny and goofy, but there is a little bit of truth to all of it, right? And I'm gonna get into that, but yeah, let's just get started. So Gears of War for me was this when I was younger, right? When I didn't know what Gears of War was, it was this kind of anti-game for me. It was something that I warned my parents not to ever buy me, which is funny in retrospect, and that was all because of when I first started playing the game. I was introduced to it by my cousin, right? And me and him used to hang out a lot. We used to play a lot of Halo together, right? And he started getting into Gears, right? And I was just like, oh, all right, well, what's Gears? What is this? What is this game? So we started playing it, man, and I'll never ever forget the first memory I have on Gears is me and him on Gridlock and playing as Carmine. I don't even know that's his name. I just know he has a helmet like Master Chief, so I think he's cool. And my cousin is probably like a drone or something, who knows? And I'm up in the sniper tower, right? And he's probably, I think he's in ball talk spawn or something like that. And I'm screen cheating. I'm looking on his screen to see my character, right? I see him aiming at me, right? And I watch this dude just straight up cap me, and my head just freaking disappears. It just pops right open. And I'm seeing this as like a freaking toddler, okay? First off, I'd never seen anything like that in my life. In any game I've ever played, I'd never seen that in any movie. I'd never seen that in any like live leak video, I don't even know if live leak was a thing, or maybe if it was a thing, then I don't think I was aware of it at the time. But yeah, seeing that was just, it was crazy to me, and I told my parents, don't buy me Gears of War, whatever you do, just don't buy me that game. But I don't know, I just slowly, I guess, just came around, and I remember Gears 2 came out, and I went over to my cousin's house after he got it, and it was like this huge, it was a big deal, okay, because there was just all these different changes, and this is the first Gears after the first one, right? This is the first sequel. So it was like a huge deal. Like, what are they going to change up? What new guns are they going to add? What kind of what differences are they going to make? And Epic was riding high at the time. And Cliffy B, Cliff Bleszinski, the freaking, I don't know what the hell he was. Actually, I don't know if he was just like a spokesperson or what. But he was huge. I mean, he was in all the freaking press conferences and all the E3 interviews. He was just always there. And we had this bonus disc. Well, actually, no, we're gonna get into that later. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead of myself. So eventually, after Gears 2 came out, I ended up getting an Xbox 360. I think for my birthday or for Christmas or something, right? And we got it from GameStop. It was used, and when we got it, right, GameStop used to have this promotion back in the day, where if you bought an Xbox 360 used, then you get 3 used games for free, right? So, of course, I got Halo 3, Gears of War 1, and Gears of War 2. Obviously, I mean, what else was I going to get? All right, these were the top dogs in the gaming world. Maybe Call of Duty, but I wasn't into that just yet. I don't think that had. I mean, Call of Duty 4 was out. Now I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just go back to Gears. So when I first got my 360, right, I didn't have. What sucked was I didn't have a hard drive for my 360, so I had no way to store memory, or storage. Sorry, but there were, of course, the
360 still has memory, right? So I can still play campaign, I can still play, versus with the bots, I can still play Horde, right? But it just wouldn't save. And I was okay with that because, Horde didn't save anyway. I didn't really care about the campaign yet, alright? But I jumped on that. I jumped on Horde, and I used to go to my godbrother's house. We used to play Horde all the time at his place, so I could either be at home, I could be at my godbrother's, or I could be at my cousin's. It didn't matter. We were either playing Halo or we were playing Gears, right? And people were talking about Gears. I mean, everybody knew what Gears of War was because it was just so damn gory, And they went all out in Gears of War 2 with the executions. And in 1, you just had the curb stomp and the chainsaw, and those were a big deal. But I mean, they went all out in the second game. I mean, you were punching people to death. The curb stomp had a whole new animation. It was just much more brutal and dark. And everybody knew what Gears was, In the game originally, it kind of scared me. Oh, guys, I'm completely forgetting. I had another friend, another close friend. I'd go over to his place, and we played the Gears 1 campaign co-op. So it felt like he also had Halo 3, obviously. Everybody and their mama had Halo 3, right? So it just felt like this kind of gaming thing was everywhere. And if you didn't play Gears, if you didn't play Halo, then you played something else, and you had an opinion about it, right? Which is just a crazy thing that, as a child, as growing up, time is so slow when you're little, and the world is so much bigger. Or maybe it's smaller. I don't know what I'm really trying to say here, but it was a big deal. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get across to you guys. Gears of War was a big deal, and it was a big deal to me. Because there was just no other game like it. There was no other cover shooters out there. I mean, you had other first-person shooters. Halo wasn't the only one. You had games like, you had your CODs, you had Counter-Strike, you had some other thing. I didn't even know about Counter-Strike at the time. I don't even know why I mentioned that. But my point is, Gears was a very niche game. It was third-person, and it was a cover-based shooter, and those don't typically... Cover-based shooters they just don't work. They're very boring and slow, but Gears was different because of the community behind it, right? Most people, I mean, I guess you can kind of see with these clips, right? How often am I really using cover, right? I mean, I'm using the cover, but I'm using it to bounce around and get around to people's sides and do all kinds of like wacky things. I wonder, I just farted. I don't know if that picked up on the microphone or not. But Gears was just a different kind of game, man. And it was just, I'm not sure. We're gonna go down the timeline now from what I remember. But yeah, after I got my 360, I eventually got the hard drive, I eventually got Xbox Live, and then I was online for the first time in my whole life, on my own. Because, originally I had to go to people's houses to play online, and I had to play on their accounts, or I had to be a guest. Right, but now I had my own account, and it felt like I will never ever forget when I first got Xbox Live. After seeing it for like 5 years, and 5 years as a kid is like generations, it's like eons, And then I finally had it. I had Xbox Live. That meant I could have online friends. I could play with anybody in the whole world, and it was just such a monumental thing at the time, and dude, just all these great games that were out, and it was just really exciting, just going on there, hopping into game chat, just talking to these random people of all ages, of all genders, and just making friends with people, and that's what I did, I had a little friend group, when you're a kid, I mean, everybody's got that friend group that you look back on, you think about them sometimes, you're like, damn, I wonder how they're doing. I had that kind of thing, I had that kind of friend group. And of course, we play a bunch of games together, but we all had Gears of War 2, and we all had Gears of War 2. Some of us didn't even have Gears 1, but we all had Gears 2, and we all played together. And what was so cool about Gears of War 2, what they added to the game was that Horde mode that I mentioned, and it was such a fun mode as a kid, because it was just this survival, like onslaught, like defend, just stay alive, fight them as long as you can. You know, they're sending all these enemies your way. And it wasn't like the campaign, it just felt like you were just facing down these hordes and hordes of enemies. I mean, that was the name of the mode, it was Horde. And it was just so fun, you know, playing with those guys and doing that and trying to get to wave 50, you know, because that was the highest wave, was wave 50. And doing it on Insane, which is the highest difficulty, right? And that was, it was very much an experience. And sometimes we hop on versus, you know, just to get our asses kicked. But we still hopped on versus every now and again. And my cousin was still playing, my friend was still playing. Everybody was still playing video games. They were still playing the games that I played. And they were playing them as often as I did, and they were talking about them as often as I did. And it's all we talked about, because there was really nothing else to talk about. You know, there was no other cares in the world, no other worries, nothing. And that was the beautiful thing about it. And that all changed. That all changed, I think, in 2009. And this was a precursor. Not a precursor, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what words to use. But around this time, okay, I think the greatest games, the golden age of gaming, at least for my life, for what I've experienced, was 2006 to 2009. And just after 2009 is when everything changed, right? But I think this change was a consequence and a ramification from the 2008 financial crisis, right? That was kind of when, you know, shit really hit the fan in the world of finances, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. It was a really rough time. It's really a funny thing because I was a toddler at the time, so I had no idea what it was. I didn't even know anything bad had happened. I mean, there were things that my parents mentioned and things that I saw that kind of clued me into maybe something was going on, but it was never really brought to my attention. I didn't really know what was going on, and I think that was because I was gaming all the time. You know, I had no cares and no worries in the world, and everybody else was gaming at the time, and that's what we did. You know, because that's what you did, because you had good games. You had Call of Duty, you had Left 4 Dead, you had freaking Halo, you had Gears. You know, it was just a really good time to be online and be on the game. But again, this rift in 2009 where things started to buckle, where things essentially started to change, was something I'll never understand, I'll never get, and it's something I speculate on a lot, and I try to piece it all together. But after 2009 came games like Halo Reach, you know, Gears of War 3, and these weren't bad games. Okay, these weren't like horrid games, but they were a misstep. They were a misstep from their peak, right? From a franchise's peak. And I think that Call of Duty, you know, it peaked in 08 and 09. I think Halo peaked in 07. I think Gears peaked in 07, right? And you can try to fight me on this. And when I said Gears in 07, I think that's when Gears 2 came out. I'm pretty sure it might have been 08. But that's what I'm trying to say. I think those franchises peaked then, because after that there was a shift in the game, the overall game design, and that's when I saw the people that, you know, introduced me to gaming, that got me into it. You know, the people that I played with, the people that I saw and talked to, you know, almost every day. It just all fell through, right? The same people that were playing Halo 1, 2, and 3, you know, when Reach came out, there was this steep drop-off point, right? When Gears of War 3 came out, there was and I know that people look back at these games and they praise them, but people don't remember that Halo Reach and Gears of War 3, they were not seen as these deities of gaming like they are today. They were not praised at all. People didn't like Reach. People didn't like assassinations. They didn't like Bloom. They didn't like the fact that, you know, someone could just armor lock in the middle of a gunfight and just be invincible for a time. You know, and these were changes to the game, and the same with Gears. I mean, I remember Gears very clearly. I didn't like the Retro Lancer. I didn't like the Sawed-Off. I think these were really cheap additions to the game, and they were very, very noob friendly, right? And these were games that came out after that financial crisis, and you saw the skill gap kind of drop, right? Things got a little bit easier. It was easier for people to pick up and play these games. Because the skill gap in Halo 3, the skill gap in Gears of War 2 was astronomical. You know, you'd find players of various skill levels, which is what I just said. I could have just left it at the skill gap thing, but I kind of just repeated myself there. But my point is, games just got a little bit more noob friendly, and things deteriorated, right? And the people that I grew up with that showed me these things that I'd grown so close to because of gaming had abandoned gaming, you know, and for various reasons, but you know, one of them was because these games just weren't as good as they were, they weren't exciting as they were. And I think this was around the time when there was a kind of generational divide, right, where my generation was inheriting these franchises from the previous generation that was my age growing up with them, or not my age, but you kind of get the idea of what I'm talking about. There was a change happening, right? And these games came out and they weren't well liked, okay? And it kind of soiled the reputations of these franchises, right? And then you had games like Halo 4 and Gears of War Judgment, which were just a complete loss of identity. Gears of War Judgment, right? How these games had an identity and they just lost them. They lost almost everything that made their game good in just a very short amount of time. You know, and it's puzzling to me. But it was just another arrow in the bowl. You know, have you ever? I just made that up, by the way. It was another arrow in the bowl that brought it down. Or maybe I should say arrow in the Colossus or something. Anybody out there used to play Shadow of the Colossus? Really good game. I never played it myself. I used to watch my brother play it, and it was always fun to see him take down these giants. You know, these corporate giants. Back to Gears again. Apologies. So after Judgment, there were no more Gears games on the 360. Right? And Judgment, I want to say came out in 2012. I think I'm correct about that. And we didn't see anything else until the Xbox One came out. Hold on, let me Google that right now. When did Gears Judgment come out? I have to know. I'm pretty sure I'm correct though. 2013. What? I didn't know that thing came out in 2013. Damn. I guess that makes sense. Gears 3 came out in 2011. I guess that makes sense. It's okay. But after that, we didn't have a Gears game until we got the Xbox One, right? The Xbox One came out, and Ultimate Edition came out. And I don't really consider this a new Gears game. It was a weird kind of remake / remaster of the original game, and it was fun. But there wasn't really a whole lot of hype surrounding that release. I mean, everybody was happy we were getting a new Gears game, but it really wasn't. It wasn't what people wanted. We wanted more Gears, but not. We were kind of going backwards, and that was a weird time period where things were getting like remakes and remasters, and it wasn't just video games either. It was movies and such, which was a strange time. But we're past that now. You know, we're past that. And Gears of War 4 came out, and it was rough in the beginning, right? Gears 4 came out, and it was the first New Gears game since 3. And you can say that Judgment was a New Gears game, but I just wouldn't agree. It was the same engine as 3. Everything still kind of moved the same way. They tweaked some things. But I honestly just don't even consider Judgment a Gears game. I just don't even consider it a Gears game. It was just such an oddball. I don't know what the hell Epic was thinking, or if Cliffy B was even on the project at that point. Gears 4 did come out, didn't it? Right? It did release, right? And it was a mad decent game. Okay, and people had some qualms with that game, and I understand. And things were different, but I don't think that Gears of War 4 strayed far from what made a good Gears game, right? We went back to starting weapons with the Lancer and the Hammerburst and the Gnasher, right? And of course we got the Enforcer. You know, we're not going to get into that too much. That gun was, we're just not even going to talk about it. But we were kind of back to basics, right? And people had qualms with that game. But if you go back and you play it now, and you go back and you play something like Gears of War 2, I think it was more reminiscent of Gears of War 2 than Gears of War 3 was of Gears of War 2. Which, by the way, I don't know if you can tell, but I think that Gears of War 2 was probably the best Gears game. But Gears 4 was a close second. I didn't like 3. And people look back at that game with rose-tinted glasses, and I get it, right? It was a long time ago, but people didn't like 3, just like people didn't like Reach when it first came out. And now people look back and they're like, damn, that was a good game. But I think that people just, I don't think anybody really believes that. Because if you really like Gears 3, you wouldn't be complaining about Gears 4. You would just go play Gears 3, right? Which is not something a lot of people do. But who knows? Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass right now. Which I am, but that's kind of the idea with this video, with this crap. So where were we? We're talking about Gears 4. Gears 4 hits the stage. People didn't mess with it, and I totally get it. There was a lot of weirdness to it. There was a lot of paying for the cosmetics. Still, I remember the loot boxes being a huge deal that people complained about, rightfully so. And I understand that loot boxes were kind of crabby, but they were a cosmetic item, right? The gameplay wasn't all too balanced with the Hammerburst when that first came out. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but Hammerbursts were ridiculous when the game first came out, and they were starting weapon. They were so strong. They were so strong. You could kill someone so quick with those. It was kind of like the new Retro Lancer. But unlike Gears 3, which kept the Retro Lancer in, what the Coalition did, which was a new studio, right? They completely took it out of the starting, right? And there were some matches and some maps where you wouldn't see the gun because it didn't spawn on the map. And it made it more Gnasher centric, right? And around when 4 came out, you got to remember when 4 came out, this was over 10 years after 2 came out. So, you had a new generation of people coming to play, and this was a new game to them, right? And now that 5 is out, I think it's kind of a completely new generation. I don't know who's still playing these days that used to play back when 1 came out, but I remember reading on the forums and a little bit on Reddit here and there that people were complaining that the game was too Gnasher centric, right? The game favored the Gnasher, and this was such a huge, what do you call that? Generational gap for me to read stuff like that, because Gears was always about the Gnasher. It was always about wall bouncing, even when it wasn't. Okay, it was kind of a community thing. People figured out, this is a cover-based shooter, but there's other ways to use this cover. You can use it. You can run around, jump around, flip around corners, and catch people off guard, and jump back, and do all kinds of just crazy tricks. And that's what made Gears. That's what made it originally take off. And you have this new generation of people that are coming into the fray, and they're so used to games where, you know, every gun is viable, right? Every gun is usable. Every gun is getting tweaks and balances constantly. But that's not what Gears was. Gears was, if you couldn't use the Gnasher well, I mean, there was not much you could do. You know, in Gears 3, I guess you could go to the sawed-off, but I don't know. If you know how to use the Gnasher, I think you could counter the sawed-off pretty well. And it kind of... Hold on, give me 1 second. Damn. But yeah, it's a new generation in the fold, and they want the Gnasher to be kind of less as a go-to, less as a main kind of meta, right? And that's kind of what made me stop playing Gears in general. Because I did play 5, I got into 5. But the thing, like things like the emotes and I mean, there were a few other things, but Gears, it just kind of, it's really lost itself. And I don't think we're going to see anything as respectable as 2. And if you like Gears 5, it's fine, it's cool. But I can't get into it. I don't like the fact that they started adding characters from like the Terminator series and Halo Reach. I thought that was like kind of random. Like why not add, I don't know, like Will Carmine or just like somebody from the comics? It wasn't like Gears was running out of characters or something. I think the developers just kind of wanted to do a cash grab. And when that game first came out, you know, people complaining about loot boxes in 4. Well, they took those loot boxes out and they made it completely pay to get cosmetics, right? Which I don't know what you'd call that. You wouldn't call that pay to play. But they made it like extremely difficult to get cosmetics. Like it was almost impossible to earn them. And they've switched that around now. They've done a complete 180 on that. But yeah, Gears 5 had just a really bad start for me. And things like emotes and inverting the Crimson Omen when you're taking damage. It's little things like that kind of just turned me off of the game. And maybe I was looking for an excuse too. Because as you get older, you don't tend to enjoy, at least I don't tend to enjoy video games as much as I used to. You know? And you're kind of looking for ways subconsciously to kind of, I guess, get out, you know? And things change out. And you don't want them to change because you'd rather play, you'd rather have the experience that you first had when you first got that game, you know, all those years ago. That experience, I mean, just being realistic, it's not coming back. Like Gears will just it'll never be what it was anymore. It's kind of going its own path, and I'm just not really messing with it. And that's every game, to be honest with you. I mean, that's Halo with Halo Infinite and also all sorts of other games. Can't talk. Sorry. I dropped COD a little bit early too with Advanced Warfare. I did come back for the remastered the rebooted Modern Warfare, the first one, which was fun. But I haven't really heard good things about 2 and 3. Now, not that I even looked into it much, and I don't game too much anymore. But that's it. I'm pretty much done. That's my rant about Gears of War. Oh, I completely forgot about the Mexicans. That was a huge thing with Gears. That's in the intro. I completely forgot about it. So to kind of explain that, right? Gears of War was very popular with Hispanic people. I don't know why exactly. So you just see a lot of them on there. You see a lot of Hispanic people on there. And, you know, we have nothing against Mexican people, but, you know, when you're trying to play an online game, you have to ping the server, right? Or you're pinging the host directly. Okay, and if the host is in Mexico, if the server is in Mexico, and you're in the United States, you know, you're going to be lagging. You're going to be lagging a lot. So it just started, I don't know how much that actually bothered the whole connection aspect of the game, but I mean, that's what we blamed it on. And I believe it. And it's another reason I don't even like playing Gears anymore. Not because people are Hispanic, but I mean, it's just so damn toxic. And I've never played a game with a more toxic community than Gears of War. You know? And I know it's like, hey, if you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen. You know, it's like that or whatever. But I don't know. When you're getting hate messages from a 8-year-old game after coming back after not having played it for over a year, it's just a little ridiculous. You know, it's just a little bit ridiculous at that point. Gears will always, I think that's not going to change ever. And the Mexican community, they've dominated that game. They've taken over. They win. Okay, they can have it. But Gears, it was a fun time through the years, and I made a lot of friends on there. I met a lot of really cool people on there, and had a lot of good fun memories on it. But it's over now. You know, it's done. It is what it is. Brothers to the end. So, folks, I hope you guys liked that little rant. I don't know. I didn't really plan this out or anything like that. I'm just kind of talking. I'm trying a new format of video making, where I just kind of talk, but it doesn't really feel. I don't know. Just tell me what you think. You know, maybe I'm just talking in circles. Maybe I'm just annoying. Or maybe you like listening to this, and you want to see more. But just let me know. But I hope you enjoyed. Sorry if you didn't. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next video.
Oh man, I love that sound!